Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Kim. I am a history teacher in Boston, Massachusetts. So that's the East Coast of the United States. I've been teaching for 17 years. I've been able to visit India once, about 10 years ago, in the South in Chennai. And I look forward to one day being able to come back.
In fact, we are also living quite close to Chennai, southern part.
Okay.
So we are neighboring state with the Chennai, that is Tamil Nadu.
Okay, yeah.
We belong to Andhra Pradesh.
Ah, okay. So I've been kind of close to where you live.
Yes. So how did you enjoy the meal of Tamil Nadu? I mean Chennai. Did you enjoy the food of Tamil Nadu?
I loved the food. The food was my favorite part. I have to say, I was visiting in the summer and it was very, very hot.
Yes.
It was too hot for me because I live in a place with snow. So I'm very impressed. And I was also impressed with students going to the school, even though it was that hot, and still studying many, many hours.
Yeah, in Tamil Nadu and the place where I am living, the conditions are by and large same. The humidity levels are very high during the summer and it's so sweaty. And so I think the situation for you, I think may be unimaginable because we are so used to the conditions here. But in fact, when it comes to you, you are used to the living in a weather, cold weather. So all of once it may be difficult for you to adjust. So do you like the sambar? Sambar is one of the main ingredients of Tamil people. Sambar, something.
Okay. I loved everything I ate, even if it was spicy. It was all very good. Yeah. I got very big while I was visiting.
Yes.
I ate lots of amazing food. So that was the best part was the food. And the second best part was the people.
Yeah.
Everyone was so welcoming. I got to go to a wedding, which was very different. It was so big. There were so many people.
Yeah.
And I got to attend a naming ceremony as well for a young infant. So it was really great to see the wonderful celebrations.
Yeah. So Tamil Nadu, in fact, is a state of cultural capital in southern part of India, and Tamil Nadu is also famous for many religious activities, and it is also famous for many temples, especially when it comes to the Hinduism. I think there are many temples are located in Tamil Nadu. So I am so excited to invite my students, and they are so keen to ask you some questions based on the topic that we are about to discuss. So students, who is going to ask the first question? Samira? Yes, Deepthi. Deepthi, go ahead.
Hello ma'am, my name is Deepthi. I am studying 7th grade. My hobbies are reading books, playing games and watching TV. My future ambition is to become an English teacher. Ma'am, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Which place do you like?
Which place in the whole world?
Which place do you like?
Well, my favorite place I have to say is Chennai, but my second favorite place that I like is Svalbard in Norway. It's very, 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 very far north. It is all ice, and it's where there are polar bears and lots of Arctic fox and lots of snow. And not many people live there. More polar bears live there than people. That's my second favorite place in the world.
Yeah. So Kim, I have one question. What made you Tamil Nadu is your favorite maybe destination? So was it because of the hospitality shown by the people of Tamil people, or was it because of the food, or was it because of any other factor?
I would say the two factors were the hospitality of the people, because everyone I met welcomed me into their home and showed me great food. But the second thing, I was so impressed with the students. I spent time with students, and I got to kind of see what their day was like. And I was really amazed with how hard they worked. And so I got to see their work during the school day, but then after school, I followed them to special classes where they learned even more. And then they went to dance classes, and then they helped out with their families. And I was just really impressed with, it was the people. And then I'll just say the temples are beautiful.
Yeah.
I was all of the flowers and learning about Hinduism. It was very, I love that.
Yeah. Samira, it's your turn.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
My name is Samira Khanam. I am studying 7th grade. My hobby is reading books, playing games, and watching TV. My life ambition is to become a doctor. I want to ask a question. Can I ask?
Yes, please.
How can we stop the permafrost from melting?
That is a great question. So it's important to stop the permafrost from melting for a couple reasons. We want to keep it cold. And one of the challenges is there are things that we can do as individuals that you've probably already heard of that are just good for the environment. Anything you do that's good for the permafrost is good for the earth and good for the environment in general. Things like our trash, carpooling, or being smart about our decisions around driving. But I have to say, it's really the thing you guys can do the most, which you can't do yet, but you will be able to do in the future, is vote. The number one thing you can do is, when you can, is to vote. And you want to elect local officials and national government officials in India who care about the environment. Because they can make changes on a really large level. They can force, the main problems is with kind of large companies and also big countries like the United States. Politicians can kind of, if you vote for politicians that care about the environment, they can help put pressure on companies and governments to make better decisions about environmental policies. And so you have to, it's always still good to do all those small things that you've learned about, but I really encourage you, when you can vote, to prioritize the earth and the environment when you're electing officials.
Jayalakshmi, it's your turn.
Yes, sir. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
My name is Jayalakshmi. I am studying 7th grade. My hobbies are watching TV and playing games. I want to ask a question.
Okay, it was very nice.
What causes permafrost to melt?
Okay, so the main,
Yes.
what causes permafrost to melt? So permafrost, I think, as you guys know, it sounds like you've been doing some research on your own, is ground that's frozen for more than 2 years. So it's deeper, it's underground, and it's been frozen for more than 2 years, and it's mostly high up in the north. And the main thing that causes the permafrost to melt is kind of global warming. As we get more carbon dioxide and other gases in the atmosphere, in some ways we need that because it helps keep the earth warm, because we don't want it to be so cold that the whole earth becomes ice. So we need some of those, that protection in the ozone, and we need the earth to be at a temperature that we can live in. But as we get more and more gases, the earth gets warmer and warmer, as you guys have learned about with climate change, and that causes the temperatures to go up, and then it becomes too warm in the Arctic and the permafrost melts.
So Samira, it's your turn. Your brother, ask your brother to pose the question.
Sir, can I, sir?
Samira.
Okay, sir.
So is he there?
Yes, sir.
Then ask him. Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
My name is Mushad Khan. I am studying 7th grade. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching TV. My life ambition is to become a doctor. I want to ask one question, ma'am.
Okay.
At that temperature, will permafrost melting?
At what temperature?
Yes.
So okay, it's just like water, so anytime, so permafrost is just ice, but it's ice in the ground. So the same temperature that kind of water melts as, so anytime it would definitely melt in Tamil Nadu if there's no permafrost for you guys, and there never has been because it is way too hot. So in the same, when it gets so above 0 degrees centigrade, above 36 degrees in Fahrenheit, that's when the permafrost starts to melt. And it's mostly because it's further down, it can reach those temperatures and still stay frozen for a while. But when it gets warm for long periods of time. So this year in Alaska, unfortunately, I only know Fahrenheit temperatures, not the centigrade temperatures. But this year in Alaska, they had temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That is really, really hot for that area. And that definitely caused a lot of permafrost to melt.
Okay. So yes, you can ask little later, and let us invite our guest to maybe to throw some light on the current topic. So Kim, could you please say something about our topic, and you can also share the screen. I will.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, it says host disabled.
Yes, I have done it. I have just.
Okay, now it's working. Okay. Okay. So we've kind of already done this. The stars show where I'm from in Boston, Massachusetts, and the big star shows where the permafrost that I've had a chance to visit is. So what is permafrost? So I've got some questions up here. You guys don't have to say anything out loud, just kind of think to yourself. And I said some of the answers to this already, so you can kind of test to see your research and also your understanding. So what is permafrost? Is it the ice in your freezer at home? Is it soil beneath the surface that melts and gets warm and then refreezes each year? Or is it soil underneath that remains frozen for a long time? Or is it anything that's above snow? Now, I understand this is totally different than what your geography is like. This is very, very different. So some of this may be hard to picture. So I've got some pictures later on. But permafrost is, the answer is C. It's something that's been frozen for 2 or more years. Now, a lot of permafrost has actually been frozen for more than 10,000 years. So it's like ancient. We want our permafrost to be really, really, really old, older than we could ever conceive of. So here's some of what it looks like. It looks like soil. It just happens to be frozen. But we also sometimes see these ice wedges, but under there you see at the top is the soil, the regular soil, and then underneath is the frozen soil. And some of that soil, like I said, has been frozen for 10,000 years. This is one that I got to go visit. I got to go in a tunnel. So all that dirt there is frozen. Then you see some of the ice wedges. All of that's frozen. So it's cold down there. Where is it? Is it high up in the Arctic? So Northern Hemisphere, Alaska, Canada, Siberia, Greenland, Norway, and Finland. Up high in mountains like the U.S. Rocky Mountains, up on Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, or in Hawaii, which is very hot, but there's a dormant volcano. So where do you guys think in your head? What do you think? Where is it? So this one's tricky. It's actually in all of these places. It's mostly in A, it's mostly high up in the Arctic, but we also see it in all of these other places, but in smaller amounts. So here's just a quick map really showing, this is looking from the top, looking from the north down at the Earth. Most of the permafrost is high up in the Arctic. Now this is a tricky one. What is the most dangerous thing in permafrost? So one of the things in permafrost are animal bones. So as I told you, permafrost is really, really old. So inside of it, we have mammoth bones from when the mammoth died many, many years ago. So the bones are frozen in the permafrost. Is it the water? Now, zombie diseases. This is kind of crazy. So there are diseases frozen in the permafrost, and they have stopped. So they're very, very old. But when the permafrost melts, they come back alive. And then the final thing is gases like methane or carbon. So think to yourself, what might be most dangerous thing in permafrost? Now I'm just gonna go out there and say the bones are kind of weird, but they're not dangerous at all. The water is dangerous. When it starts to melt, it changes the geography, but it's not quite as dangerous as we think. So this kind of shows the ice that melts. And here's what happens as we get pools of water, we get changes in vegetation. So the landscape changes, and it's really easy to see from a plane. The permafrost melts, and things that used to be land becomes water, and the ground goes up and the ground goes down because of the freezing and thawing. This can ruin roads, but it's mostly dangerous. It happens. These are houses that get impacted. So someone had a wonderful house, and then the permafrost thawed and it changed, or the permafrost, the house will fall over, which is scary. Zombie diseases. Now this scares me, but it's actually not that dangerous in the permafrost. This does exist, and sometimes it will hurt animals. So there was an instance of some animals in Russia dying because of diseases that got released from the permafrost. One researcher has caught an ancient disease, but they were able to treat him. So this is scary, but it's not the most scary thing. What is really most dangerous about the permafrost is the gases, the carbon dioxide and methane that is in permafrost. So when the permafrost melts, all of these gases go into the air. So methane, kind of show you it. Kind of is it's really tough for our environment. So these are researchers checking out the methane. Let's see, get to the point. No. Here's, you can see, don't do that at home. Don't light methane at home, but these are researchers. There's a lot of methane in the permafrost.
Yes.
But this shows you kind of the amount of emissions. So the blue circle shows you how much kind of carbon and methane are in permafrost in comparison to fossil fuels like oil and coal or forests. So normally when we're trying to help the environment, we talk about not burning coal and using less oil. It's actually even more important to keep the permafrost frozen. If we keep the permafrost frozen, this all stays in the ground where it belongs. We don't want those gases to get into the air. This kind of just shows we've got gases releasing into the air. Things get hotter, the earth gets warmer, the permafrost melts, the carbon in the plants decay, which release more gases, which trap more of the heat, which makes it warmer, which makes the permafrost melt, which release more gases, and it kind of goes in a circle. We normally talk about this just with kind of oil and man-made emissions, but this is also true with the permafrost. How do we learn about permafrost? What do researchers do? The biggest thing we do is we take sticks and we put them in the ground and we see if the permafrost is still there. This is called a thaw depth measurement. So you go over and over again, you stick it in the ground, you pull it back up, you measure it. You stick it in the ground, you pull it back up and you measure it. So, and this can take many hours. You kind of have to do it in person. So you see myself and another scientist going along in Alaska and measuring, seeing how the permafrost is doing, how deep, how much is melted, is it still there? We have to measure it all out, record it. And this is at 20 times speed because we can't work this fast normally, but. So this is, I know you guys said you want to be doctors and English teachers. One day you could also be a permafrost researcher. You could go all the way high up in the Arctic and you can stick something in the ground and make lots of money.
Yeah.
We also use a lot of computers and technology to monitor the permafrost. So we need lots of engineers and technicians to help study the permafrost. Here's some more technical, these are some of the research that my team was building. So they wanted to know, does the permafrost keep melting even in the winter? And the scary answer is yes, it does. Even in the winter, because it's gotten so warm, it still continues to melt and release. And they created this the team from NASA created a very kind of complex system to monitor the gases year round.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
And we also just look at the soil. You have to pick up the soil and take it to the lab and check it out and see what's going on. We look at the animals to see how they're changing. So these are little lemmings or voles. And then we also set up stations to see how things kind of change over time, would like to take pictures, camera traps, pictures all year long to see how the snow and everything is changing. You can watch the snow continue. So some things that are challenging when you're studying permafrost, if you're like, okay, maybe I want to study permafrost, you have to be ready for the bugs. I don't know what type of bugs you guys, I don't remember in Tamil Nadu, but in the Arctic, there are lots and lots of mosquitoes. So if you want to study permafrost, you have to be okay with bugs. So here's the researcher totally covered. These are all mosquitoes. I don't know if you guys have mosquitoes. Mosquitoes bite you and it makes a really itchy kind of lump. So you have to be okay with mosquitoes. So you could just like grab them. There are so many mosquitoes. And the second challenge, which I think you guys have already figured out, is it's cold. Okay, so that's a little bit of information for you guys about permafrost, but it sounds like you've already learned so much in your own research. I'm really impressed.
Oh, thank you so much for giving us
Sir, can I?
a lot of insights on this particular interesting topic. Yes, you can ask, but I have a one question to be asked.
Sir, can
Yeah,
class,
Kim, you have had a lot of time. Actually, you have been one of the research teams, maybe exploring the possibilities of, I think what I have understood that the global warming is causing a lot of problems for this very globe, in fact. So do you think that the situation is quite alarming as the global warming, if it continues to warm the globe? So do you think that the Arctic maybe is going to maybe the water level in all the oceans if keep rising? So maybe it is going to have a adverse impact on the lives of the people living in the islands, especially. So many islands are going to be disappear if that comes to start melting. So what is the present situation as far as the Arctic is concerned? Do you think that is still alarming, or it takes some more time to see that devastation?
We're already seeing really big changes. So the time to make the changes was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago. That doesn't mean we still shouldn't act now. So as I was telling you guys about voting, so maybe even thinking about you can't vote yet, but your parents and your relatives can. And if you guys kind of band together and start advocating, as we've seen across the world, a lot of youth activism around climate has made a big difference. And you can kind of pressure the adults to do different things. But one thing about the Arctic is it's the sea level rise. And so people who are living in islands and, in Chennai, people are close to the coast, yes. Seeing more tsunamis, more hurricanes, changing the monsoon seasons. But also you can think of the Arctic as the world's air conditioner. If the Arctic stays cool, it helps the rest of the world stay cool. When the sea level rises and the ice melts, when the Arctic gets hot, the rest of the world also gets hot. So if you can imagine it getting even hotter, so it will feel to you in Tamil Nadu like it felt to me. It's too hot. So we want to keep our humans' impact on the environment and the climate as low as possible. It's not too late, but it's definitely important, like I said, to vote. And vote for people that care about the environment or pressure your kind of local government. Small actions matter, but big actions also matter. Yeah, we're seeing the animals' habitats change. The vegetation is totally changing. The houses are collapsing. It's too hot. The animals are leaving. Yeah, we already see the catastrophic impact.
Yeah, that's really. So, but unfortunately, the many politicians are not caring about the weather conditions or these things. They are caring about only the vote bank. So whether they are caring about those things, but not about the environment and environmental issues. Unfortunately, it is happening in India too, not only in the other countries in the world. So
yeah, well, hopefully maybe there's a student in this call who says maybe they want to be a politician.
Yeah.
And you guys grow up to be the politician that cares about the environment and says this matters.
Yeah, let us hope that one of these guys going to be a politician, and so maybe they can change the very perspective of their thinking related to the environmental issues. So anyone else? Anyone else?
Can I ask?
Yes, Yashmita.
Can I ask?
Yashmita, what do you want to ask? One by one.
Sir, the class. Hi, ma'am.
Can I?
My name is Yashmita. I am studying 7th grade. My hobbies are reading books and playing games. My future ambition is to become an software engineer. My question is, what are the famous in our country?
So you mean their country or our country? Famous places in their country?
The famous people, politicians' names, and then historic figures. And I don't know the names, but I see the pictures of all the Bollywood stars.
Yeah.
They see even information about the Bollywood stars in our tabloids, about, various things of the Bollywood stars. That's
Yes.
and
So,
I don't know anyone famous in the United States. It's the same people, the politicians and the movie stars.
yes. So Tedipia, yes. Who is going to ask? Yes.
Can I?
Yes, Tedipia.
Hi, ma'am. My name is Telpia. I am studying 6th grade. My hobbies are reading books and playing games. My life ambition is to become a software engineer. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Yes. Yes, Tedipia, ask. Tedipia.
What is your favorite food?
Yes.
What is, I couldn't hear the question.
Tedipia, ask clearly.
I think it might be.
What is your favorite food?
Your favorite food?
Oh, favorite food. My favorite food is avocado and mango. And I like mango with chili. And that's something I would get on the beach in Chennai. It's the mango with chili.
Yeah. So other than that one, I think which variety of maybe Indian dish you like? There are many varieties are there, like sambar and rice, and southern part of Indians, they love to eat the rice with the combination of many curries. So
Yeah.
which curry you like?
I can't choose one curry.
Yeah.
I like all the curry. I like a little bit of everything so that you get a variety. But what I really like is eating with my hands and using the bread, to dip, and like it's just the bread and samosa. It's also yummy.
So in fact, it's a bit hard for the Westerners to eat the food, Indian food, especially with the using the hands. We are not supposed to use the left hand. We are supposed to use only right hand. So how did you maybe feel when you are asked to eat the food? In fact, so what was your reaction on the first day of making the Indian food?
My first reaction was just, I didn't want to embarrass myself in case I got the food all over my face. But I had practiced a little, and I had some good teachers who showed me, how to twist and dip. And I just ate slowly, and I had smaller bites until I got better. And then I was able to eat much more quickly, but I prefer it. I think it connects you better to the food. When you're eating with your hands and you feel that kind of connect you, it tastes better. You really, you're thinking about it as you're eating, so you enjoy the flavors.
Yeah.
So I was mostly just worried that I would be a mess and everyone would laugh at me.
Yeah, it's quite common. Nagalakshmi, it's your turn.
Yes, sir. Hello, ma'am. My name is Nagalakshmi. My hobbies are reading books and playing games. My future ambition is to become an English teacher. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Yes, please.
What are your hobbies?
My hobbies. I like to play field hockey, which I think is a game that a lot of men play in India.
Or national
So my
game.
favorite, my hobby is field hockey, and I've been playing for many years. My team just won a championship and I scored a goal, so I was very excited. So that's my biggest hobby. Another hobby I like to do is ride bikes. I like to ride bikes.
Can I ask?
Chaitanya.
Hi ma'am, my name is Chaitanya. I'm studying 8th grade. My hobbies are playing games, reading books, watching TV. My life ambition is to become a bank manager. Can I ask ma'am?
Yes.
Which is the dangerous acid?
Which
So Chaitanya, you have to make your question clear. Chaitanya,
Sir,
yes, ask your question clearly.
what is dangerous acid ma'am?
what is something acid?
So you mean the definition of acid, or what do you want to ask clear from ma'am? So I think you have to clear. You have to clear your question. Ram Kumar, meanwhile you ask the question. Ram Kumar.
Yes, sir. Hi, ma'am. My name is Ram Kumar. I'm studying 8th grade. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, watching TV, and singing songs. My life ambition is to be a cricketer. Who is the inspiration to become you hockey player?
Inspiration to become a field hockey player. There was a woman, her name was Tracy Fuchs, and she was an Olympic field hockey player in the United States. In the United States, mostly women play field hockey. And she was the coach at a local university where I lived, and I saw her play, and she was amazing, and she just scored so many goals. And she signed, when I was young, she signed a jersey and gave it to me. So that inspired me to start playing field hockey. Watching her play, and that gift of a Team USA jersey with her signature made me want to play field hockey.
Yeah. So Kusma, it's your turn.
Okay, sir. Hi, ma'am. My name is Kusma Sri. I'm studying 7th grade. My hobbies are reading books, playing games. My life ambition is to become a software engineer. Ma'am, I will ask one question.
Please.
What are the traditions and cultures that are followed in your country?
So one thing you guys may know is that there are so many different people in the United States, and even in so I live in Boston, but the neighborhood I live in is called Jamaica Plain. So in Jamaica Plain, we have people from, local, but we also have people from Somalia and East Africa. We have people from Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean. We have people from Haiti, and then we have African American people living here, and then Chinese American. So almost every other week, there's a different celebration or tradition that's happening, or even a political campaign, because there are lots of people from the Dominican Republic in my neighborhood. When there's an election in the Dominican Republic, actually the officials come to my city to campaign, because the people here are allowed to vote still back home. But I would say a big local celebration that used to happen before the COVID pandemic is that in April every year in my town, there is a big marathon. So it's one of the biggest marathons in the world. It's called the Boston Marathon, and people from all over the world come, and they think it's fun to run 26.2 miles in a row, which takes them only 3 hours, but would take me 4 days. And I would walk very slowly. But a big tradition is everyone gets together and they line up along the race route to cheer on the marathoners. So the Boston Marathon is a cultural tradition that everybody goes to, no matter their culture or their religion or where they're from. That's something we have in common in my area.
Yeah. So
Can I, sir?
yes, one more question. Yes, yourself. Ram Lakshmi.
Hi, ma'am.
My name is Ram Lashmi. I am studying 8th grade. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching TV. My life ambition is doctor. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Mhm.
Which food are famous in your country?
Which food is famous?
Yes, that's what she
In
Okay.
your village?
So in, I would say in my area, the food that is most famous is seafood. So lobster and oysters. They're very expensive, but they're very famous because I live near the water, and the fishermen, those are the things they catch. And when people visit our town or our area, they come and they try the lobster and they eat the oysters, and they're very good.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, only 2 minutes time is left.
Can I ask?
Yes, Ronit, you have to ask as quickly as possible because we have only few seconds time is left. So please go ahead. Yes,
Hello,
ask.
ma'am. My name is Roonit. Can I ask a question, ma'am?
Mhm.
Who is your favorite hockey player?
Who is my favorite field hockey player? I don't watch any of the professionals anymore. I don't have time because I'm teaching and I'm grading.
Yeah.
So we don't see any of the famous field hockey players, but I would say my favorite athlete right now in the United States is Simone Biles. She's a gymnast. She's a very good gymnast. So Simone Biles is my favorite gymnast. The field hockey, I don't have any time anymore.
Yeah. So Kim, before we end this session, I request you to suggest my students, maybe you can suggest them to improve their spoken skills or maybe specialization in their life. So I request you to reconnect again just for 5 minutes and you can give a message to my students. So it's a free version right now, only few seconds time is left. I request you again to reconnect so that we can also join with you and you can give the final message. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Sounds good.
please, you are all requested to reconnect again because the session is going to be ended anytime from now. So please